Mount Druitt is the place art goes to die. Or so I thought as an aspiring artist from the area. Malo lele, my name is Winnie Dunn, and I'm a Tongan Australian writer, editor, and arts worker. My life's work at Sweatshop Literacy Movement is to empower First Nations artists and artists of colour through reading, writing, and critical thinking. I am inspired by the African American feminist and scholar Bell Hooks, who argued that we cannot talk about freedom and justice in any culture unless we are talking about mass-based literacy movements, because degrees of literacy determine how we see what we see. Degrees of literacy determine how we see what we see. Growing up, I didn't see myself, a mixed-race Tongan woman, represented in any books, films, television shows, or media. The representation I did see were negative portrayals of Pacifica Australians and Western Sydney residents as nothing but violent criminals or unemployed doll bludgers. From Plumpton High Babies, the ABC-funded program about teenage pregnancies in my local high school, to Struggle Street, the SBS-funded show that depicted Mount Druitt residents as nothing but illiterate and drug addicted, to the infamous Summer Heights High, the popular mockumentary show created by Anglo-Saxon Australian comedian Chris Lilly, who donned an afro wig, brown face paint, and a thick fob accent to enact racist, hypersexual, and violent depictions of Pacifica children. Growing up with that kind of media really, really weighed on me. And I thought that being Tongan and coming from Western Sydney meant I was nothing. So what's the alternative? The controversial crew 1-4 gives us an example. 1-4 were Australia's first and biggest all-Pacifica dual rap crew from Mount Druitt. And to get to know them a little bit, I thought I would share some lyrics with you from one of their most popular songs, The Message. Retaliation is a must, ain't no maybe ifs or buts. Took numerous trips around there, but lad, that's something I can't discuss. I don't want to end up in cuffs. We heartless, wrong or right, regardless, yeah, I'ma back my blood. In 2019, 1-4 rose to prominence with their staunch, dark, and nihilistic Western Sydney lyrical slang, a 2770 tribute to the Southside Chicago and UK-style drill rap. Their sudden rise to fame, however, led to a moral panic among a certain kind of Australian, who argued that their music was nothing but a call to crime and shut down every one of their potential concerts. So how is this any different from the media that I was talking about earlier? I actually remember watching The Message for my first time with my 5 sisters and 2 brothers. Mount Druitt Station, Mount Druitt Courthouse, the Dawson's Mall behind Mount Druitt Westfields were lit up in bright orange smoke flares. On screen, in that light, places I had been to all my life suddenly looked new and beautiful. And then my sister stood up and showed a sign. 1-4. She stood straighter than I'd ever seen her. But of course, then our brother in his dry-fit Gucci cap and his Nike trackies and his gleaming TNs scoffed and said, "Those boys are hard, but they're still just acting." And I didn't know it back then, but my brother had touched on something fundamentally missing from the critique and even support of 1-4. They are a performance. Sweatshop's founding director and award-winning author, Dr. Michael Muhammad Ahmed, wrote extensively about the performance of violence in young leb boys from southwest Sydney, an intersection he comes from. He analysed the front page of the Daily Telegraph, where these boys, who look a lot like the boys in 1-4, argued that buying a gun in Sydney was easier than buying a pizza. And journalists took them seriously. With the ongoing negative media attention against Arab and Muslim communities in Western Sydney, Muhammad argued that this image is a prime example of protest masculinity. Youthful, masculine language and behaviour that comes from a deep sense of frustration, injury and defensiveness caused by racism and marginalisation. Put simply, young minoritised men perform the gangster because it is empowering to scare racist white people. This is at the core of 1-4's work. They even tell us at the beginning of the message with a disclaimer. This video is made for entertainment purposes only. The lyrics and characters in this song are fictional and should not be taken literally. If only that certain kind of Australian was paying attention. As 1-4 were amassing millions of views, the New South Wales Police Force took it upon themselves to initiate a specialised task force that researched into how knife crime was influenced by rap culture. They also took lyrics from the message and other songs and used it as legal evidence in a court trial that saw some 1-4 members incarcerated, in part because of their creative choices. The New South Wales Police also had a hand in banning rap music, the entire genre, at the 2023 Royal Easter Show. 1-4 responded in a now deleted Instagram post. They want us to get off the streets, but they won't give us a chance to. When white people take everything that First Nations people and people of colour have to say literally, they deprive us of the right to be creative. And because creativity is what makes us human, they deprive us of our humanity. First Nations people and people of colour have the right to decide how we make art, when we make art, why we make art, and for whom we make art. We have the right to make art in direct response to racism and white supremacy. We have the right to be figurative, metaphorical, polemical, hyperbolic, ironic, sardonic, histrionic, cynical, and critical. Our art is a reflection of our reality, and our reality is our humanity.